Good day and welcome to Quest for Health. This is our episode with Hélène Fournier, who is the Executive Director of Valoris, an organization that just about everybody in Clarence-Rockland knows about, either through personal interaction or through their very appealing ads along the highway. We have the great pleasure of talking to Hélène and could probably talk her ear off and entertain you for hours about all the work that Valoris does. But we're going to limit this interview to Hélène, not the executive director, but Hélène, the person who carries such a heavy load in the workplace and still has a personal life to manage. So may I introduce you to Hélène Fournier, who has been the executive director of Valoris since August of 2014.
That's right.
And prior to that, you had a bit of a career with Valoris, prior to which it was Integra.
Yes, that's right.
Tell us how you started out and how you stayed with it.
Okay. Well, I started out my career as the frontline worker, like a long time ago, working in Ottawa then. Mm-hmm. And my goal was to become a manager at some point in my career, so I went to do my bachelor degree in social work at Laval University in Quebec. And after that, I decided to apply to a position here, which at the time was the Children's Aid Society of Prescott Russell in 1998, so a long, long time ago.
All right.
So that's when I started my career in Prescott Russell. And after that, well, the organization went through an amalgamation in 2001. So I was a supervisor then and stayed with the organization since then, and went up the ladder and became ED in 2014.
So you've been through the whole phase of changing social values in regard to children's aid, financing through government, probably a lot of battles with government, a lot of battles in protecting children and adults, which fall under your mandate as well. So you must be driven and passionate about your work. I can't see any other way of sticking through all of that.
Well, you're right. I'm really passionate about the people we serve, and that's the only reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. So yes, there is challenges when you're working in the human services. And as you know, budgets are being lower, and there's less and less budget to fund organizations like mine. So it's really, really important to remember what we're doing and why we're doing it. So to serve people in Prescott Russell that are sometimes having some very important needs and need assistance. But I am really passionate about what we do, and I really believe that we do help people. We do. Our mission is to be of service. So I'm really, really working hard with my team, because I don't do that alone, with my team to be of service to people when they cross our door, and make sure that they receive what they need and they're able to continue living their life as they should until they need our assistance again, because life is a
cyclical
long road.
Thing.
And,
it is.
You might need assistance at some point.
So you need to worry, and I use the term worry advisedly, because they say don't worry, it'll all work out, or don't worry, give it a chance. But we do worry, because we see all of the things that can go wrong, and all the things that need to be done. So you need to worry about the clients, you need to worry about your staff, you need to worry about the government, you need to worry about the public. That's a lot of worrying for one little person. How do you balance it all?
I don't see it as worry.
Okay.
I see it as it's my sense of responsibility. I feel like when you take a position like this one, you're responsible to making sure that you are of assistance. And my responsibility is to make sure that my team has what they need to do the job they need, that I'm there to support them, and it's just like a domino effect. If my team is able to do their job properly and feel they have the support they need, it's going to have an effect on the manager and on the employees. So I really feel it's a sense of responsibility, and I'm hoping, and I'm quite sure that everybody who works at Valoris have that sense of responsibility. We want to make sure that people are well treated and that they're receiving good services when they cross our door, because that's the reason why they come. to see us. And sometimes it's very difficult to call us or to knock on our door. So we have to be able to tailor the services to make sure that they receive what they need and really be of assistance and support them in their difficult moments.
Mm-hmm. And there's been a lot of work on that. I've seen it. I've been following what you've been doing, and the attempts to train and to bring in the different programs to make sure that staff are aware of all of the issues and don't capitulate to compassion fatigue, which is definitely a big challenge for anyone in this industry. We're not exactly assembling widgets. No.
We need them sometimes.
You do. Now, tell me, when you started out, did you see the world going the way it has gone, with more and more problems with children and more challenges with children facing addictions and anorexia, and you could add to that list, I'm sure?
To be quite honest, no.
No.
I think my vision was always like one challenge at a time, and to this day it's one challenge at a time. And the fact that I really believe that people have a lot of potential, my view is more optimistic than pessimistic. So I'm not looking at the problem as much as the potential. And also people sometimes go through a very difficult situation, and anybody in their shoes would react the same way or maybe even worse. So I really have to always remember that some situations are really situational and people will get through it, but the potential is really important. And I think that's why I keep going in that kind of field. It's because I really believe that everyone has the potential to succeed. And I really believe that for myself also. I always tell my son that there's no challenge, there's always solution to a challenge, and I really believe that. It's not easy all the time, but my vision is more of a positive one than looking at problems. It's more looking at solutions and potential.
What you're describing is something that's probably easier, although not guaranteed easy, for someone with a lot of faith, spiritual faith, because that's something that by definition is what they're supposed to go by. You have probably some of that, and definitely a lot of academic and research work behind you. And I guess it helps that there's a large part of the world that's trying to figure out how to solve all the social problems.
Yes, I'm not the only one.
You're not the only one. So with every challenge and everything you face, there's a lot of growing awareness, I guess, of you can almost Google a solution to every problem, and then it's a matter of finding the stamina or the faith to implement it. Right. You've been through a lot of courses, so I guess you believe in courses in education, and it must be a priority with making sure that anybody who needs the education can get at it, right? Sometimes the things that we know are hardest to apply to ourselves, though, right? So let's assume that after 30 years, you know all the theory.
I wish.
We're still discovering some of it. You know a lot of the theory, and perhaps that explains why you've managed to be able to maintain the balance between the demands of your profession and your own personal life?
Maybe, that's a good question.
Maybe.
I've never thought of it in those terms. Well, I think also that often enough when you have a situation, a challenge, you have to resort to you have to work as a team. And I think it's one of the reasons why I was able to really keep my sanity. I've had the opportunity and the chance to be surrounded by a great person, and to this day again, my team is excellent, and I really have a lot of confidence in them. And so we feed each other off, I find. so we can discuss challenges, and as a group we're able to see the light. So
Okay.
I find working as a group, in a team environment, is really important for me. So I really value my employees, my team, my immediate team, but also the partners, because I have the chance to, discuss with many partners in the community, and we exchange on different things. So I find that exchanging and discussing similar challenges and similar situation helps me and helps them to, see having a wider vision and keep a positive light. But I also think, and I've been always a kind of person that's very disciplined. So I have a really, and my employees would say that my work ethic is very, very, how would I say that? I'm really disciplined. So organized,
Yeah.
and I'm a hard worker. So if I read something, like you said before, I'm going to want to apply it. And I know that if you want to change your way of doing business, it's always difficult. So, but if I put my mind into it and I really believe that it's for the best, I will work hard at it. So my ethic is really, I'm disciplined, and I have a high expectation for myself, which sometimes is a challenge for people who works for me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's how I keep my balance. I thrive by challenging myself and reading and being aware of what's going on in the sectors that we're covering, and being able to see opportunities and advocate for my organization. But I try to be always one step ahead instead of reacting. I'm not really comfortable with the reacting kind of attitude. I like to be well prepared, and that's probably why my work ethic is so disciplined, because I like to be ahead of the game instead of at the back. So.
Well, it does make a big difference, because that gives you time to think clearly instead of just reacting without being able to take all the factors into consideration.
Yes,
Yeah.
and when I started my position as an executive director, I had the opportunity to take a leadership course with Rodman in Toronto. And one of the elements that I really, really appreciated starting early in my career as an ED was the importance of taking time and take stock of
Yes.
what you're doing. And I find in a sector like human services, you work with human, there's always situation. But if you don't take the time to sit and reflect, you're in reaction all the time, and sometimes the solution you bring to the table are not the best. So I really, really learned from that year of leadership training, and I think it was instrumental for me to take it from the get-go. So it really, really, I would say, gave me a better understanding of what an executive director should be doing.
Yes.
Because going from a position of, I was always with the organization, so I moved up the ladder, but being an ED is not the same job as being a manager, and as being, so you have to be fully mindful of the different responsibilities that comes with the title.
Well, I would say that it's hard to think of you as a Yoda, but that's probably what you've become at this point. You are the wise one overseeing, well, trying to be the wise one overseeing, instead of the micromanager going out there and shooting down all the little problems. I like to put things in images. So we're going to break now for a moment, and we'll be right back to continue this discussion. So welcome back to Quest for Health, our interview with Hélène Fournier, the Executive Director of Valoris, of Prescott Russell.
Yes.
So that's a big territory that you're covering there. And you have, I guess you have 4 offices now? 4?
That's right.
Like, are you building an empire?
No.
This is necessary now.
Well, yes, because we wanted to be at the heart of the community, make sure that people can have easy access to us. So by being in Rockland, Hawkesbury, Embrun, and here, people can have access to us easily. And as you know, people don't have means of transportation, so there's no buses and there's no way to get to us. So we have to be close to the people who might need our assistance at some point.
Yes. Because that aspect of human interaction is very important.
Yes.
And it can't be done by telephone.
No,
in many cases.
no, sometimes, but most likely we like the face-to-face.
Yeah, it does make a world of difference. In fact, these days we see so many problems that come up with the social media and the taking away of the human interaction and the overcharging of emotions that are unchecked. It's a terrible problem. Do you have? Is that an issue that comes up with some of your clients, that they've been berated and bullied and?
Yes, we face that, and as the school board is, we have the same clientele. So yes, it is an issue. It is a constant issue. Yes.
It's dreadful. Now you're the mother of a young boy, 13. Do you take all of this that you see home with you and worry about all of those things possibly happening to your child? You see so much more than.
Well, I think you have to be. I'm aware for sure, and when he brings some topics of discussion at home, I for sure take the opportunity to give him the long, extended answer.
Yeah, good.
But yeah, we have discussion. He's 13, so we're having discussion about drugs and the legalization of marijuana and what he thinks about it and my view on it, and bullying and the importance of including friends in their play. And so yeah, we have discussions. And when you're a mother and you work in a field in social work, well, you always want to make sure that your child is aware of what could happen without being overly protecting, because he needs to live his own life and learn on himself by himself. But yeah, you can help it when you're in a field where you see different situation. Not that I bring it home, but I take the opportunity when you bring some topic of discussion at the dining table, dinner time, we take time to discuss. And sometimes my answers are way too long for him, which I don't mind.
The problem is what you know, you can't unknow, so it comes out.
Exactly. And my husband is an engineer, so sometimes he will bring everything back to a more objective kind of rational, which is good.
It is. It all sinks in. I don't have any children of my own, so I've been an auntie to many children. And I can't tell you how many children I took to the ski hills to teach them to ski because their parents just couldn't bear the thought of seeing them possibly breaking their legs hurtling down the hill. So that became my job. So sometimes you can know too much. They say a little bit of knowledge is a dangerous thing, but knowing too much can be distressing too.
True. So you have to be really mindful of that.
Yeah. You want to be a mother, not a smother.
True.
Yeah. So, all right. So your boy is learning a lot more than probably most children age 13, because he doesn't just see what's happening around him. He's getting an explanation of why things are happening that way, which is good. It's so important. People often don't understand why things are the way they are.
True.
It's so easy to react to, oh, that person's a bad person, instead of, well, maybe that person's acting badly because.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you can bring that.
Yeah.
There is a positive parenting program. Do I have that name right?
Yes.
Yes.
Triple P.
Triple P. Every time I read about it, it sounds absolutely fascinating, because we take it so for granted that people know how to parent. Not quite, huh?
Well, everybody has their challenge, huh? So it's good sometimes just to go and discuss parenting tips.
Yeah.
And discuss with other parents. So sometimes you just need a little discussion and little tips here and there, and you're going your way. Yeah. And that's what everybody does. We do the same thing when I'm with my friends. We talk about our parenting and our issues, and we compare. So Triple P is an opportunity for people to not only compare, but leave with some tips on how to try different things, and just see if it works or not, and be supported in that way. So, and it's a program that can be provided in a one-on-one basis, but mostly in a group, because the advantage of being with other parents is really important.
Of course. There was a time when when the women could sit around in front of their cottages and knit or have tea and talk about these things. It doesn't happen anymore, does it?
Well, we'll still do it. We just don't knit anymore.
No, good point. Although it's making a comeback, I've noticed.
I heard.
So, All right, so there you are, Hélène. At the end of your day, you've been managing your family at work. All 400, did you say?
Yes,
400
yes.
staff, 4 establishments. This is not a normal organization. This is not the kind of organization where you can be clinical, heartless. You have to always make sure that people's spirits and hearts are in the right place.
Mm.
So you're putting all your heart into it here, and then you go home, and you're putting all your heart into it there. And it's not unlike someone who works in a hospital or hospice or an old folks home. Can you say that? Seniors residence? Sorry. Not unlike nurses and doctors working in hospitals and working in hospices or seniors residences. You give so much of yourself emotionally, and then you go home at the end of the day. And how do you do it again?
Oh, well, going home is just like that's where really I relax.
Okay.
Once I get home, I also have a little routine. I work out, so most of the time I'm going to go to the gym. I have a trainer and I'm a runner, so I will go for a jog or I will see my trainer, and then I go home. And then we have our routine is getting dinner ready, and I'm very fortunate I don't cook, so my husband does the dinner, so I have that chance to come home and talk with him and my son. But it's really relaxed once I get home. The pace is totally different, and I have a great husband, and my son is really good. So when I come home, it's just a relaxing kind of time with my family. So it's very, very different pace.
Wonderful, good to hear.
So when most likely in the evening, we like to just play games or watch TV. My son will watch his YouTube videos, and we look at it together. But it's just relaxed. Once I go home, it's a totally different pace, and I think it's very important because it's high intensity when I'm at work. So once I go home, I can relax a little bit more and just.
So your home is your haven.
Yes, and I really like decoration, and I'm really. So I always look at magazine, have ideas of what can I repaint and how can I replace my furniture, and so I have other interests once I get home, and it's just.
I see that as being creative, which is so important, instead of just collapsing in front of the television or who knows what. It's so important for people to be creative.
Yes.
And it's so difficult these days because so much of our time is taken up with automatic pursuits, either sitting in car, sitting in traffic. Preparing a meal is certainly creative, judging from the number of cooking shows you see on TV these days.
I like to watch them, but I don't cook.
No. That's funny. Gives you some appetite?
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
Gives my husband's idea. You should do that.
But the working out part I like that. That's always been you, or that's
always, well, yes, that's always been me. I think it's funny that I remember that, but I started working out when I was doing my master degrees. I was working full-time and doing my master full-time, so I needed a way to stay sane, and so I started working out then. I've never stopped since. And I find that it's just, I don't know, I need it. It's part of my routine now. Yeah. It's in my Outlook calendar. Everybody here knows. Yeah. Tuesday and Thursday, I work out. I leave early.
You're preaching to the converted here, because I'm the same as you. However, even more so lately, because at some point it's difficult. It's so easy to say, oh no, what for? I'm at that stage of my life I can relax, and I've been reading this book on gerontology and seniors' homes, and they describe what happens to us when we get old, which seems to happen all of a sudden, and suddenly it becomes so much more important to keep up that exercise, because that's what goes.
Yes.
Got to keep the movement, got to keep the exercise. It's not only for the here and now, it's for the future. It's so important.
Oh, I totally agree. Totally.
That's another topic for Quest for Health. I don't see you running an old folks home. Not just yet.
No. Give me a few years.
Yeah. So, all right. So we've got the balance. We've got the education, the commitment, the passion, the discipline, the good staff. You've got the balance with the working out, and you've got your haven.
Yeah.
which
See, I'm very fortunate when
you
when
are
you put
very
it that way.
fortunate. Yeah. Well, maybe you're not a perfect example of how people can do it, but yet it's there for everyone. People shouldn't think that she's got it all and I can't achieve that, because everybody can in their own little world.
Yeah,
It's a pretty-
and I do believe that. I really believe that if you like what you do, if you're, well, of course, like I'm 50 years old now, so I've learned a few things with years. But like if you would have that discussion with me when I was 20, I would have been different. But
Yeah.
I think getting older, you see things in a different fashion, and
Yeah.
so I think if you're passionate about what you do and you really like, and I'm really fortunate. I love my job. I love the people I work with. I love my family, of course. So what else can you ask for?
Well, nothing more, actually. We can all draw comfort from the fact that Valoris, our very important and very precious Valoris in Prescott Russell, is in such good hands with a person like you at the helm, because I feel like after all is said and done, you're doing what Mother Teresa said, do the little things with big heart.
Yeah, I love
And-
Mother Teresa too. Yeah.
Well, how can we not? So, Hélène, I thank you very much for giving us of your time, and I know that we didn't cut into your workout time, and we didn't cut into any other time, because once this was scheduled, it was planned around.
That's right.
So thank you for having taken on this responsibility and for the time that you've given us and to the people of Prescott Russell.
Well, thank you for having me. It was great.
So for all of you, I hope you enjoyed this interview and gained a little bit of inspiration and education. And we'll support Valoris the next time it has one of its golf tournaments, because, hey, money's well spent in good hands. See you next time.